ladder anxiety. Ladder anxiety is when playing a competitive game or doing something competitive, you get the jitters. Usually you get the jitters, you'll get nervous, you're anticipating, you get nervous or excited, however you want to call it. But you'll get that tension, right? You get tense, you get excited. Problem is that you start to get the jitters and you start getting nervous. What ends up happening is that it prevents you from performing, right? Like, it's one thing to practice in a controlled environment. You're not worried about anything. You're just doing what you're focusing on. But in a situation where there's stakes on the line, where you feel like, that there's something for you to lose, you may get those jitters. Say you're about to go up and walk and talk in the front of the class, or there's you're part of a sports team, and you're about to go play for the very first time in front of a lot of people. Perhaps you're making a video, and it's the very first time you're about to press record and film yourself, and you get those nerves, you get those jitters. So basically, that is what ladder anxiety is, times 10. For example, for me, I may be the only one. Let me know if I'm not. If I get too caught up in the game, if I'm just stressing about certain things, which I'll go into in a moment, I get so tense that my fingers can't move, my hands can't move, I can barely think about what's going on. It gets super, super bad. That's what ladder anxiety is. You just have that tension, and you just can't relax because you're so tense and just caught up on worrying about different things. You want to do good, you want to performance anxiety is another way to call it. You want to do an awesome job, but because of this tension, because of this anxiety, you're unable to. You just can't control your physiology at that point when the anxiety gets that bad. I hope I'm not the only one that this happens to, playing a competitive game like Starcraft. Generally speaking, what tends to happen is you're worrying about winning. For example, in a game like this, in a competitive context, you're worried about winning, the end goal, the result, and the consequences of not achieving that goal, and it sucks. It sucks. The way to move away little by little from ladder anxiety and begin to just perform the way that I've done it is to just focus on yourself. What do I mean by focusing on yourself? So basically, setting a goal, focusing on one thing for you to do. For example, your build order. That's it. Your build order in the beginning portions of the game. You can just focus on your build order. Hit your times, know exactly what you got to do, and hit your timings, which is what I did. I just focused on my build order. That's it. I just want to make sure that I know my build order inside and out, meaning I know how many minerals I need to build a probe. I know when to build it. I know what supplies I need to be at. I know what needs to happen for my build order, executing my build order, and that's my main concern. I'm not worried about winning. That's the key takeaway here. If I just focus on winning, then this means that I'm not focusing then on all of the other aspects of the game that are gonna help me to win. When you focus on something like this, that's gonna, just anything. It could be anything. Oh, I wanna, I want to get a certain unit at a specific time. Okay, focus on that. Focus on what you got to do throughout the game to get that unit at that particular time. Just focusing on one thing and practicing that one thing over and over and over again. And the magic happens is when you practice that in the ladder, on ladder, in ladder, however you want to call it. So this way, slowly but surely, practicing is not going to just happen while I'm playing against a computer. It's not just going to happen when I'm playing a computer. It's going to happen whenever I get on ladder. And this has helped me tremendously. When I practice now, I'm practicing against an actual player. What happens then, I'm practicing my build order while defending, while being distracted by, his probes, or the other player trying to cheese me, the other player trying to mess me up, which is great, because now I'm practicing my build order in an environment that's got challenges, right? Against a challenge. So you begin challenging yourself by going into ladder and practicing your build order in ladder, because now it's not an environment where you're not in a vacuum where nothing's happening. Just like right now, I have no worries. I don't have to worry about anything except just executing my build order. In a ladder game, there could be a probe. There could be like the enemy could be coming to my base right now and could be entering my base, and then I have to worry about that, right? Which takes away the mental RAM from my build order, which is just experience. If I can get through it successfully, then I'm building up my mental toughness to execute my build order under stress, under duress. If you focus on just one thing, it's gonna help to eliminate the focus on just winning. So it's a twofold solution, because now you're focusing on getting better, and you're gonna get better, right? Because practice makes perfect. So it's just all about practice. And then on top of that, you're gonna be able to execute under stress. You're gonna be able to execute, while being distracted, while things are happening to you and around you. And this is what I mean when I practice on ladder. So you just gotta focus on one thing and just practice that one thing, and just practice that one thing and run it to the ground, and bump your head against that one thing as much times as you can. And once you feel comfortable with that one thing, take it into ladder and practice that same exact thing, but practice in ladder, because now you're going to have the challenge of, there's your enemy, your opponent is coming by to screw with you. They're going to try to cheese you. They're just going to be around. But the point is to just focus on your thing. If you focus on your thing, then you force yourself to not worry about the win, because worrying about the win is what's going to get you that anxiety, is what's going to trigger that anxiety. Focus on one thing. For me, it's been my build order and my macro. That's it. My build order and my macro, making units, making sure I'm not supply blocked, making sure I'm not floating money, and that's really it. That's been my whole thing. Something else that you could focus on for StarCraft in particular, focus on scouting. That's something you could do too. Focus on scouting. Focus on always making sure that you know what your opponent is doing. That's something else that you could focus on. You could focus on map awareness. For map awareness, you could focus on always looking down at the map. Always looking down at the map. Always double check the map. Always, know what's going on the map. And having that map awareness. I want to send units over here. I want to send units over there to that corner so I don't get flanked, by my opponent. You could practice that. It could be mechanics. You could focus on your mechanics, meaning your control groups. You could say, okay, I always want to put my units on this control group, my ground units on one control group, and my air units on this other control group. I'm going to control them both like that with two control groups. Awesome. You could do that. You could practice that every game. Practice that every game. Practice that every game. You know what I mean? So it's just little by little over time. And here's the thing, practice makes perfect. It's reps, right? It takes reps. This is not going to happen overnight. Doing what I'm saying is not going to make you, a professional overnight. It's not. to be a professional in anything, you have to put in the work, you have to put in the time. But this is what I mean, it's gradual growth, and I can see the growth. So that's how I have been able to defeat ladder anxiety. I no longer get ladder anxiety. I'm super comfortable with just pressing this button right here and just playing the game, because all I'm doing is just progressing and getting better at the game. And that's my enjoyment. That's what I get out of it. I enjoy progressing at the game and learning to be better at the game, which to me is just, you know, practicing my build order, making sure that I don't get supply blocked, making units, making sure I'm spending my money. All those basic fundamentals for getting better at the game, just making sure I'm getting those fundamentals down. If you just focus on your fundamentals or what have you, you know, focus on whatever you want, but focus on that instead of just focusing on the win. Promise you that's gonna kill your ladder anxiety. If you really just genuinely just focus on something else other than just winning, I promise you it'll take that ladder anxiety away.